just as we want to avoid the temptation to raise the shoulder when we raise the arm, the shoulder sinks, the elbow drops. We also want to avoid the tendency to raise the chest. So often people will lift the rib cage in order to lift the hand. You want the opposite to happen. You want the rib cage to relax and sink down. So the ribs should hang from the spine like a shirt hanging from a hook. And the hand floats, the rib cage sinks, and the back relaxes. So the ribs go all the way around, of course, from the spine to the front, and you want them to relax all the way around. And the spine will straighten. The thoracic spine ideally will take a nice, comfortable, there will be a bit of an elongation of the spine, and you do that by relaxing the lower back also. So the tailbone drops down, the back opens, like that. So as the hand floats up, the shoulder sinks, the elbow drops, the wrist drops, the chest sinks and relaxes, and the lower back relaxes and opens. And the movement will be centered around the area below your navel, a little bit in front of the spine. So if you look up the inferior mesenteric ganglion, that is approximately the location of the center of all of this movement. It's actually just a tiny bit below or in front of that, depending on your anatomy. Of course, your center of gravity moves when your hands move. And the sinking of the chest and the opening and the moving of the back, all of this is an adaptation to the movement of the center of gravity. As you raise your hands up over your head, your center of gravity moves up. As you move your hands forward, the center of gravity moves around inside the body, moves forward and backward. So the lower dantian, or the field of elixir, as it's called, is not exactly the center of gravity. It's the center of intelligence for the body. And that is where all of this movement is focused, is centered. So we won't, in the beginning we don't focus too much on this because most people don't have a really good understanding or proprioception of their chest and their waist and the back. The core is a bit of a mystery to them, and most people don't really have much of a feeling for the muscles and the movement of the lower back and of the spine. You start to develop that with regular Tai Chi practice. And as you improve that, then you start to develop that same kind of central awareness that a baby has that a toddler has when it first starts to walk. So when a toddler stands for the first time, they are perfectly balanced, very precisely, because there's no tension in the body to allow this sort of tense cantilevering. If a toddler stands up and the first thing they do is this, you've got problems. You have an alien baby. So when you stand and you do any movements in Tai Chi, you want to relax and have that perfectly refined balance that does not require any tension or suspension or cantilevering in the body. You want it to be precisely aligned like a string of pearls balanced on end with no string. That's how you want to feel. And so the lower back moves, it breathes. The belly moves, it breathes, it changes shape. As the hand moves and the center of gravity moves, then everything inside the body adapts and changes. It becomes this beautifully fluid feeling. We talk about the flow of energy in the body. You'll start to feel that just with gravity. And in the beginning, you may find as you start to move the core, there will be pre-existing or unconscious or systemic tension in the body. And that will come out as sort of a personality or a flair or a flavor in your arms. So you might do this. Start to be kind of interpretive. What you want to do is deconstruct it. Feel any of those really unique tensions that are special to you. And you may find yourself disassembling things that you thought were your personality, that are really just affectations of your posture and alignment. And this way we get down to the fundamental balance, the fundamental structure, the fundamental shape, the fundamental person. As we say, we learn to deconstruct the acquired spirit and harmonize with the original spirit. That naturalness of a baby that has known no trauma. So a simple movement like this is quite profound and quite liberating and quite enlightening. Unless you've already achieved enlightenment with step 1. So you see how a simple movement like this can be quite profound and very therapeutic as you learn to discover things about the relationship between your thoughts, emotions, and posture, and find tension that you did not know you were holding, and expressing emotions that you didn't know you had, and learning to find that neutral place, that perfect alignment. And this, of course, applies in every aspect of life. It's extremely useful. And of course, in combat, it's an incredible advantage to know yourself. And then you can make these connections between yourself and the opponent's force. And it becomes effortless and timeless and seamless. And it becomes less about a technique and a struggle and more about a connection and a balance. Of course, unless you practice a lot and practice applying it a lot, it's all imaginary. Lots of Tai Chi students know the words to the song, but they don't know what it means. It's only through practice that you can learn how to interpret your own music. And this choreographed, structured thing we call the Tai Chi form is actually the context within which you learn about yourself and your own art and to develop your own style. And your Tai Chi will not look like anybody else's Tai Chi. And eventually when you talk about it, it won't sound like the classic lines. The old Tai Chi scriptures really don't make much sense unless you've done the practice. It's all written like a bunch of medieval Chinese beat poetry. So spend a day or two practicing that, and then come back and we'll do the next video and we'll talk about some of the other things about the legs and the hips, and maybe get into some martial applications, concepts and ideas. I don't have anyone to practice with, but we can talk about it. Very good. More practice.